Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you and yours are all doing okay. It's been, yeah, it's been. Let's see. There's no easy way to do this. And if you know me at all, if you followed me for any amount of time at all, you know that I don't wear my heart on my sleeve and I don't do things like this on a normal basis. Um, but sometimes they have to be done. Unfortunately, last Saturday, the 11th, um, our uh, grandnephew passed away at the young age of 29. That is tragic enough, just in its own rights. However, he also left behind a 3-year-old son and a young wife who is 15 weeks along with their um, second child. As you can imagine, it's devastated the entire family, no more so than my niece. So I don't normally do things like this, but this is a different situation. I've put a link to a GoFundMe down in the description of this video, and they really need our help. Um, if you can help in any way, shape, manner, or form, no matter how small, it would be greatly appreciated. I know times are tough for everybody out there, and I don't ask this kind of thing normally, and I don't ask this kind of thing lightly. But if you could at all possibly, even if you just share uh, that link to that GoFundMe, I personally would be grateful. And anything else you can do, I know his widow would be grateful for as well. Um, it's just a bad situation all the way around. And I thank you sincerely. And I don't mean to start off this way, but I feel compelled to do so. Um, thank you all very, very much. Phew. Okay, let me back up, regroup, and thank you all very much. Your condolences and your prayers are much appreciated, much appreciated. Um, try to regroup here. And I don't know if you can hear the rain. It has decided it was supposed to be partly cloudy today. Well, I think we're getting partly torrential instead. Good grief. Let me do a real quick shout out and say thank you to my friend Steve. You know him, you see him out here in the chat all the time with Harneal Media. And I need to say thank you to Steve and thank you for doing what you do. If you are even considering increasing your web presence as you build up your business and you want to sell your products, I will only ever refer you to Steve because there is no better way than to eliminate these third-party sites from your uh, revenue stream. I mean, yeah, you can go to this site, you can sell there, they're going to take 20%. And you can go to this site over here and they're going to take 30%. Or you can put it all up on your site and you take 100%. That's what this kind of a thing can do for you. And Steve is the man who can help you set up that website. He can help you set up that web store. He can hook you up with a print on demand company if you want to create and design merch to sell, T-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs with your logo on it, and put that up on your web store. Steve's the guy to do it, I'm telling you. And there's a few of you who have already taken advantage of his expertise and his knowledge. Not only that, he's just one hell of a good guy. I'm very proud to call him a friend. He sponsors my website, marklindsaycnc.com. He can do as much or as little as you'd like. And he's very competitively priced. So check him out. There's a link to Harneal Media in every video on my channel. And you won't be disappointed. I'm here to tell you. So let's get into today's discussion. And that is about the zero plane. There is a little bit of confusion regarding the zero plane. And I've had a couple of uh, questions via email about it. And I'm also going to throw out a little bit of assistance for somebody who had a question a couple of episodes back and just hope like heck they're watching, um, because I've got no way of getting a hold of them. First of all, what is a zero plane? What does a zero plane actually do? And why do you have to have one? Well, a zero plane is simply that. It is we get over here into the modeling tab, a zero plane, which is right here at a plane component with zero height covering the model. Okay, if we just go out here into our 3D view, this shaded area that we have right here is our modeling plane. Okay, this is where all of our models are built up or created from. The thing to remember about Vectric Software is it always models from the bottom up out here in the component tree. So if we come over here into clip art, we get into, let's just do something simple. And let's go with a 45-degree dome dish. All right, it's a dome right now. We can see right here on this modeling plane that it has started building our model from this plane right here up. Well, we can add something else on top of it if we want to do a flat round disc and put that on top. We'll do some adjusting in just a minute. Now, if you look, the flat round disc is bigger than our dome here. So let's go over to the modeling side. Let's come over here to the 2D view. In fact, I'm going to split them vertically. Where's me split vertical? Okay. I don't know where me split vertical went to. Must be off to the side over here. That's my two-sided view. Well, anyway, let's look at the flat round circle and let's make that quite a bit smaller. I'm going to hold down shift and bring it in. So I'm going to make it smaller than my dome. If I look at my 3D view, it came in with a merge combine mode. All right. I'm going to change the combine mode to add so that that flat round circle sits right up on top. Okay. And it's not taking, well, it has kind of taken on the shape of that disc. So I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to go back to merge, but I want to increase its height. I'm getting off in the weeds here. Let me bring the base height up so that it projects up above. Come on. And bring the shape height up. There we go. That may be a little bit too much, but you get the point. Okay. So we've got that sitting there and we've got that sitting there. Everything is fine. We're on our modeling plane. Now, if I come along here and, well, I did this wrong. Let me flip over to the bottom now. We'll go back into clip art. I'm going to put another dome dish in the center. And this I'm going to switch over. Let's reduce the size right there. Come over to the modeling tab, look at my 3D view. That's a dome as well, but what I want to do is I want to make that a dish. So let's change that combine mode to subtract. Okay, so there I have pretty much a bowl shape. Okay. Michael says page up hotkey. Okay, thank you. And keep me from page up. Well, let me click over here. Page up. There we go. Thank you. I don't know how it disappeared up here. I'm going to have to do a little bit of looking for that. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Okay. So if I did this backwards. This should have been on top and that should be on the bottom, but that's okay. So now when I zoom in here real close and I take a look, we can see a little bit of a jagged edge right here. And if we look at our model over here, let me click off of that so I don't move it. The Vectric Software models, it's a bitmap or depth map, height map based modeling software. And the way it works is the darker the color, the deeper the carve. The lighter the color, the shallower the carve. Now, if you look at this, you'll see it's not really a gradient, meaning bands of color. It's all kind of blended in. And then we get out here on the edges. That's not what I wanted to do. If we get out here on the edges, Mark, and we look, we can actually see, let me blow this up. We can actually see the edge of that bitmap. We can see the pixelation. Now you can really see the pixelation. The way the modeling works is it reads this as a slight relief, a slight depth of cut, and then this is white. So there's nothing here. That's how the 3D modeling works. But because there's relief here, but there's no relief there, when when it creates the model, it's going to assume that this white here is 0, that there is no cut out here going to happen. And then it reads that there is a cut right here, but not here, but not here. And that's going to create that jagged edge on your model. Well, the easiest way to get rid of that is to use a zero plane. A zero plane is, just as the name implies, it's a plane that's going to cover this piece of material, the entire sheet, with a height of 0. Okay? So if I come up here and I add a zero plane, it's going to place it above this dish, and it covers the entire piece of material. The side benefit to that is if we get out here and look, we can see where that pixelation is. It also fills in those jagged edges where the bitmap for the dish stopped. The pixels from the zero plane start, and they fill in that area, smoothing out the surface. So it starts out with a height of 0. This is considered 0, and it works down from there, blending in with this dome, or excuse me, this dish. Remember, the software models from the bottom up. So it's going to take this component, and this component is set to add. It's going to add this zero plane to this dish. Okay, so that's where that blending comes in. Now, you can set it to merge, and maybe that'll look better. Maybe it won't. And in this case, it doesn't. If we look underneath, we still have that there, but it also filled in our dish. We no longer see it. So we need to go back, change that combine mode back to add, and our dish has returned. So that's what a zero plane is. It's a plane with a height, a thickness of 0. Okay? Is everybody following me on that? Now, does that mean that this 0 plane has to stay here? No, it doesn't. Does it mean it has to sit right here in this level, right on top of this dish? No, it doesn't. Let's see. AL says, why would it do anything? Do you mean my changing the combine mode? My reason for changing the combine mode was to demonstrate what happens if you do change that combine mode. Suddenly, oh nope, my dish disappeared. Yes, because it's merging in all of these uh, pixels with this. I hope that's what you meant. So I was demonstrating that's what it does if you change your combine mode. Now, what if we put the 0 plane down below the dish? Well, let's just grab it and drag it. It doesn't do anything. Why would it do anything? Again, it's covering your entire uh, modeling area with for all intents and purposes, a sheet with a height of 0. Letting this fill in to avoid the ragged gaps, the ragged spots, where the software is going to try to get the bit to follow this jagged edge. With this added, which becomes part of the entire model, there is no jagged edge because everywhere, I can't zoom in any closer. Yeah, I guess I can. Everywhere there was a blank spot where this dish ended, the 0 plane now adds pixels there to fill that in. IL says, isn't the pixelation still just the same, but with a different color? The only reason it's a different color is because there are 2 different combine modes, and I have the 0 plane selected. Let me back out of here. Let me zoom way out. There we go. If you look, the only reason they're different colors is because this is showing relief. It's still all the material color. Okay. Again, we are adding the 0 plane to the model. So it acts as a vector that has no depth and covers the plane on which the model is drawn. Kind of, but it's not a vector. It's a component. It's another part of the model. It's no different than if you add this piece on top of this piece. The difference is this has its own height and its own thickness, and the 0 plane doesn't. Its height is 0. Its thickness is 0. Now, we're not quite there yet, IL. Trying to understand what effect this would have on the generated G code. We're not there yet. Okay. What we're doing is we're still building the model. The model isn't complete yet. Each of these are models on their own, but over here, they're nothing but components. What we're making is a composite model, which is a composite of all of these different components stacked up on top of one another. When we have all these components, the sum total of all those components is the model. Okay? Is that making sense? Um, I'm trying to be clear on this, and I'm sounds kind of like I'm failing. Um, for instance, now I want to add what would I put down there? I'll put something else down in there. We have some clip art. Let's go over here. Oh, I don't know. Let's go for objects and people. Let's put a baseball in here. Let's go add, and we're going to make that real small and bring that way. No, not that small, boy. All right. Yeah, we'll put that in there. Okay. And we'll head over to the modeling tab. Now, when I look at my 3D view, I've got a baseball down on the bottom of my dish. Okay. My base model is my dish. The zero plane is there to help me fill in the edges around that dish in this case. Now, my baseball is added to the top of that dish down inside. These are three separate components. They are three individual models, but you put them all together, this is one model, if that makes any sense. This has really no bearing on the G code yet. It's when you get over here and you calculate the tool paths, that's when you get into how everything affects the G code. But the software is going to make this all one model. So adding a zero plane won't really affect the G code because the G code's going to read the result of calculating the tool path. This is all going to be done within the calculation of the tool path. So let's make this a little more complicated just to throw it out there. Okay, we've got my 2D back in my 2D view, got my baseball in there where I want it. Now I'm going to select my outer dish and I'm going to draw a perimeter vector around it. What is the size of that? 3.6464. Okay, I'm gonna do a 3. Okay, Control Z. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go into drawing and I'm going to draw a circle 3.7. Let's do this. 3.7 inch diameter. Go right to the center here and click around it. Okay. Close. Now I'm gonna go to my 3D view. I've got my vector selected. Go back to the modeling tab. And then I'm going to, let's do this in a way everybody else can. I'm going to go into right click on level, go into clipping and apply. Now I don't see anything happen in the 2D view, but if I look in the 3D view, I've now clipped that layer, this entire level. I've clipped everything to that vector. So I no longer see out here. Okay, IAL says, if it does not affect the G code, then why would I care if the rendering shows a jagged edge? The reason you would care, IAL, is because that jagged edge is going to be carved in your final piece. That's what I mean. The whole purpose of this zero plane is to fill that in so that jagged edge is not carved into your material. L is absolutely correct. Now I'm translating here. Let's hope that that is in English. It affects the model, and the model affects the G code after it's calculated. Absolutely 100% correct. Okay. So if you can see those jagged edges here in the 3D view, those jagged edges will be in your final carved model. What you're doing is you're filling in those edges by adding a zero plane. Okay. So we've clipped that, and now that modeling plane is still there, but the rest of that surface material out here is now gone. It's still there. I can come back here and turn level clipping off, and there's my whole block of material still. So that is one purpose for a zero plane, okay, is to fill in these rough jagged edges on a dish, or if you're carving a groove or something of that nature. When you're carving into the surface, it will help fill all that in. That's one purpose. Let's go back to straight Z, and I'm going to do this the correct way. Let's go ahead and delete that. We're going to delete the zero plane. We're going to delete the dish, mainly because I did all this backwards. Let's go back to the top, and let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of that. All right, let's start over here. So now I've got a clean slate. I've got nothing there except for, let me go back to the bottom and get rid of that vector, and we'll delete that. Okay. Another reason, another case where the zero plane comes in is in creating a limit plane. Now, this may or may not get real technical here, okay? You can use a zero plane to tell the toolpath to calculate to where your bit actually cuts a little bit deeper than the model. And this is especially helpful in a two-sided 3D carve. Okay. I'm going to do this the right way this time. Let's go back over to clip art. I'm going to go into domes and dishes, and I'm going to go back to this same 45-degree dish here. Come into the modeling tab, and I want to be a little bit more accurate this time. So I'm going to size it to, I want a 6-inch circle. Okay. And we'll apply. We'll close that. And now let's, okay, here we go. For some reason now I got them back. All right, now I've got my 2D view and my 3D view. Let me jump over here, and we're going to change the combine mode to subtract. So I've got my dish created in the surface of the material here. All right. Now I want to, how do I want to do this? Oh, let's get into the properties and see how thick we are. My shape height, that's a pretty dramatic or drastic dish. I'm going to take that down to, let's say, 375. Just make it a lot shallower. Let that catch up. Okay, so I've got a 3/8 inch deep dish here. And we'll go ahead and we'll close that. I'm going to flip over to the bottom, and I want to create the opposite. I want to go over here to clip art, and we'll put one of these out here in the center. Back over to modeling, and I'm going to make this 6.5 inches in diameter, 6.5. And we'll apply that. And we'll close it. And now let me come up here, make sure I'm in double-sided, and I believe I am. So I can look at this. I've got the bottom, flip it over, and on top I've got this bowl shape. Okay. So when I go, you know what, I'm going to do this a little bit different. No, I'm going to leave it like so. Yeah. So now when I go back to the top and go to straight Z. So now when I go to carve this, let's say I'm finished and I want to go to carve this. First thing I do is I'm going to go into material setup. The model thickness exceeds the material thickness. I got a 0.75. Okay. Let's change that to a total of 0.7. 0.7. Apply. And we'll close that. Then I'm going to double click that line to put this model right in the center. So I've got some material to remove off the top and material to remove off the bottom. Okay. We're good. We'll click OK. Now, if I go to 3D model this top, what's going to happen is, well, let me just go ahead and do it. I'm going to do the without a zero plane. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do the model boundary. And I'll just use a 1/4 inch ball nose. I'm just going to accept whatever's in there. And we'll preview that. Okay, now this is without that zero plane. Actually, that came out surprisingly well. I am amazed. But we see how much material that removed and the limits of that carve. So now let me flip over to the bottom, and with no other preparation, close that. I'll make sure, yes, okay. Make sure I've got it. Do here. We'll carve to the model boundary, same bit, and we'll calculate. And we'll go ahead and we'll preview. Okay. On this back side, this has carved down to the level, the boundary of that model. On this side, it's done the same. But you'll notice it didn't cut through. So also, because I'm using a ball nose, this edge right here is not a square edge. It's a rounded edge because of the radius of the tool. If I flip it over, look at this side, same here. So what I can do is I can use a zero plane to create a limit plane. And what that limit plane is going to do, see, I'm on the bottom. Let's go down to, let's flip over to the top. And let's look at the dish. Am I still in preview? Or yes, I am. Close. I don't want to be in preview. Go back over here. All right, 3D view. There we are. Okay. By adding a zero plane on top of this, we'll do that. And now I'm going to go in to the properties of that zero plane. And I'm going to adjust the base height of that zero plane. I'm going to bring it down in the negative to the diameter of my bit. The diameter of the bit is a 1/4 inch. So we're going to bring it down negative 0.25. And you see what that did? That adjusted that zero plane down. Okay. Here's my modeling plane. There's my zero plane. Okay. Close. Now, why are we doing that? Maybe I should be doing that on the bottom. Okay. Hello. Let's delete that. Ignore that. We're going to put that on the bottom. Flip it over. I will add a zero plane here. Oh no. Ah, my mistake. My mistake. Wow. Let's get rid of that. I forgot a step. See, now this is one of those things. This is where we get into when you see me do a edited video or recorded video. I have done that at least 3 times before I start recording. So when I'm doing things live, I forget steps. You don't see that in my edited videos because I can go edit that out. What I want to do is I want to put that zero plane on its own level. All right, so we'll come up here and we'll insert a new level. And I'm going to change the name to limit plane. And I'm going to add the zero plane there. And I'm going to change the combine mode to merge. Now, the combine mode of that level, not of the zero plane. Now I can come in to the properties and I can give it a base height of negative 2.5. Close. No, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Wait a minute, I'm on the bottom. All right, let's go back. That'll be positive 2.5. No, that's right. Negative 2.5. There we go. All right. Wow. Now let's calculate that 3D finishing tool path. I don't think this is going to work out the way I think it's going to work out. We'll see. I have not practiced this in a while. Now, you'll notice our tool path goes all the way around the model. The entire surface of the material is part of the model. Okay? So what I want to do, I don't want to use the model boundary. I want to machine to a selected level. And I want to use level 1. That's level 1 over here. That's the level I want to machine to. Okay? So let's calculate. And now it's only going to cut that portion of this model. So let's preview it. And we see how that dropped down 1/4 of an inch. It dropped down the depth of that zero plane because I moved that zero plane down negative 1/4 inch. Okay. Now let me flip over to the bottom and we'll preview that tool path. and it's cut my part loose without the cusping from the radius of that bit. Okay? Limit planes is about when my brain leaks the magic smoke. That's why we have to practice this over and over, which I obviously haven't. Okay? What you're not seeing is the fact that my magic smoke is transparent. But you see what I'm getting at. Now, this could be a heck of a lot smoother, yes, but that's simply because I had it carving in a raster instead of offset. Well, no, that was in offset. It was the other one that wasn't doing raster. Okay. Well, anyway, so my whole point is, yes, you can use. We double click that to get rid of it. Now go back into the double click that to get rid of it. So yes, you can use that zero plane as a limit plane. Where do you go? To set a stop limit to create thickness for a two-sided job. Yes, you certainly can. By giving that zero plane, back over to the bottom, by giving that zero plane a negative base height, I dropped it. It no longer has a height of 0. It's got a height of 0.25. Or negative 0.25, excuse me. Negative 0.25. Okay? That's another example of when it could be used. Now, Michael Mazalik helped me out earlier this week. There was a tip that I hunted for, and I hunted for, and I hunted for, and couldn't find it. There was a way to put the cursor out here and find this total model's thickness at any given point. And I could not remember what it was to save my life. You have to toggle in single-sided or double-sided view. Then hold down the control key. Now look right down here at my readout, right down here. One minute I touch that control key, move my cursor, you see where it says thickness. That's telling me the thickness of this model wherever that cursor is setting. It's not giving me the normal Z height reading. That's off to the left just slightly. But it's telling me how thick this model is at any given point. So out here, it's getting pretty thin. But back in here towards the center, it's pretty thick. That is useful beyond belief. Let you know if maybe you need to adjust something. Maybe you need to increase or decrease some heights, because we're looking at 0.13. That's a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. So we're okay to carve this. But it drove me nuts looking for where the heck that tip was, and I still to this day can't find the video I saw it in. Thank you again, Michael. So all that is you make sure that this this icon right up here, toggle between single-sided and double-sided view. You make sure that that is blue so that you're seeing double-sided. Then put your cursor wherever on the model and tap control. And when you move that cursor, you'll get the thickness of the model in that spot. So thank you again, Michael. You saved my bacon. So that is that as far as using it as a limit plane. Now, John says, then you wouldn't need a profile cup, but should add tabs, correct? Yes, you would. You would need to add tabs. And this is going to dovetail in with the question that we had a couple of weeks ago. And that was by his channel name that he asked the question with was Trev Shove, Trevshov. And he said, for some reason, when I preview toolpaths, it's also applying the model's offset boundary to my tabs. Now, my answer was, when you add 3D tabs to your component tree, they become part of the composite model. So any offset boundary you add to the toolpath will be applied to the whole model, including the tabs. I was partially correct. However, I forgot one other thing. And this is what I mean when I say when I'm doing stuff live, sometimes I'm just flat out dead simply because I forget steps. Let me reset the preview. Let me close the preview. We'll just jump back over here and I'm going to add tabs to the bottom. Okay. Because that's where I would want to put my tabs. I'd want to carve the top first. Well, no, wait a minute. No, I don't rightly think it. Yeah, I do rightly think it matters. Let's go ahead and add tabs to the bottom. What I would want to do is I would want to, again, create a new level and we'll rename it tabs. And I'm going to change the combine mode of the level to merge. Come over to clip art, get into 3D tabs, and let's see, in my 2D view, I'll go ahead and I'll drag one over here. Hold down Control and drag another one over here. Yeah, that's good enough. Hold down Control, drag another one up here. Hit the number 9 on my keyboard twice. Kind of drag it up this way. Looks good. And then hold down Control and drag another one down here. Or I could have done a circular array or whatever. Modeling. Here we go. Now we'll go into 3D view. And we've got that to merge, 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 merge. Where are they? Oops, I can't manipulate that. Yeah, those tabs should have been added to the top. Oh, well, let me go back. Delete level. Yes. Deletes all the components. Let's go back up to the top. All right. Now from here, we'll insert a new level and we'll name this tabs. And we're going to change the combine mode to merge. And again, we'll go with a circular tab and we'll go. Let's do this in the 2D view. It's a lot easier to place. Bonk. And hold down Control. There we go. Hold down Control. 9, 9. Come on, 9. There we go. And hold down Control to drag a copy. There we are. All right, now let's look at our 3D view. There we go. Now we have our tabs. Okay. Now, if I just start cutting, this is going to remove the tabs. Okay. Yes, absolutely. If the tabs are on the bottom, they will need to be very long to reach the model, won't they? Yes, they will. However, by putting them on their own level out here, we can come over here to our 3D Finish toolpath. Now they are added, they are part of the model. But again, we're machining down to level 1. So any boundary offset we have here is only going to be applied to the shape on level 1. It's not going to be applied to the tabs. Okay? So let's recalculate that toolpath. And now we see that toolpath is going to carve right around those tabs. They may be too tall, but we'll reset the preview. Then we'll preview all sides. So there was the answer to that question from Trev Shove. When you preview the toolpath, it was also applying the model offset boundary to the tabs. The secret is put your tabs on their own level. That got a little bit thin there. I would probably want to put the tabs on the bottom. That's way too thin. Yeah, I would want to put the tabs on the bottom. But the overall point is the boundary offset that I applied here did not get applied to those tabs. Okay. I believe that you use separate clip art for that to add to the model. Okay. Let me go back and try what you're talking about here. We're going to change combine mode to add. Let's see, did that do anything? That didn't do anything. So let's go back to merge. But let's check changing that to add. Nope, it's going to get cut. They're going to get cut. It has to be merge. Let's go back to merge and let's just thicken up. I should have done this before I did the shape height is 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, let's go with 0.375. And we'll take them down a little bit. Nah, I don't need to be doing that. Well, anyway, well, don't need to do that. Let's Control Z that. All right, let's do our base height down to negative 0.25. Nope. Well, I'll play with that later and get it right. Control Z. All right. I can't remember off the top of my head. Aren't they? No, they're actually being cut by the depth of cut on the bottom. That's what's cutting them. That's why I said I would add the tabs to the bottom. I wouldn't add them on top. So that's what's cutting them is nothing up here. What's cutting them is down on the bottom. I usually copy the tabs to the other side to leave a round tab. Oh, good point, Dwayne. Good point. I didn't think about that. See? Perfect. Let's hold down Shift, select all these, and right click, copy to other side. Now I'll need to go over to the other side and make sure that put them into the correct level. Yeah, let's add a level, insert new level, and we will name that tabs. And we'll select all of these and drag them up into the tabs level. All right, now let's go back over here and recalculate all toolpaths. And okay, we're going to set that to 0.7 like we had it before. Apply. It'll change the height of the tabs. Close. Double click the center. Okay. Recalculate. All toolpaths successfully recalculated. Wait, oh, well, okay, on one side. Now we're doing the other side. Okay. And now we're looking at the bottom. Let's do 3D finish. We're going to go to selected level, level 1, and recalculate that. Okay, now we're good there. So reset preview. Let's preview all sides. We're looking at the bottom first. There's our tabs. And there are those tabs. And we see they didn't get cut through and they weren't made super, super thin. There is a bit of a taper on them, but the thickness is still appropriate. That would still hold up. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I think two modeling planes may fight each other. And Michael's correct. It depends on the design. Sometimes you do need two modeling planes. So, if those of you who have looked down below in the description will have seen that there is a link to a Vectric video. It's a tips and tricks video that gives a better example of this technique. Okay. And I have also put a link to one of my videos where I created a two-sided project where I created a 9-inch dish. I posted a link to that just so you can see the difference between their method and my method. I am in the process of shooting a new video, in the process of shooting a new video in which I am going to refine my process much better than I just demonstrated here. But I'm going to refine my process and we're going to actually cut that dish. So that'll be in the new year. Let's see. We had a couple of other questions to get into. Let me go ahead and reset the preview here, go into straight Z, get back over. There were a couple of questions. Go back over to the top and we'll stay in the 2D view. And Vortex 8 was asking, I have been using your suggestion by putting vectors on their own layers for my brother's gift for his firehouse. Thank you very much, by the way, for that one. You're very welcome. I have noticed that after I trim a vector where it needs to be, it goes back onto the vector layer where it came from. I'm wondering why this happens. Would you know? Okay. It sounds to me like, let's do a couple of vectors here. What we're going to do, we'll go ahead and we'll get rid of all of this just for giggles. All right. I can always Control Z and get it back. I've got that. I've got that. And I've got this. And I've got that. Close. Okay. I'm going to put the two circles. Move to layer, new layer. They're going to be circles. All right, then I'm going to take the two rectangles and I'm going to move them to a new layer. They're going to be rectangles. Okay, then we come over here to my layers tab. Now, yours may be here on the side. You can also access them up here in the layer manager. Now, if we look, I'm active in layer 1. If I take this rectangle, go into node editing, cut the vector here, cut the vector there, and then let's see, let's close the vector with a line, and we'll take this and do the same thing. Close the vector with a line. I now have two diamonds here. Come out of node editing. If I turn off rectangles, it still disappears. If I turn off layer 1, nothing happens. We take that down over, put some separation. What may be happening, Vortex, is you may not be working in the active layer. So what I'm getting at is if I'm working with these rectangles and I offset, stop it. I offset outwards. Let's go inwards by 125. Inwards, create sharp corners, offset. Okay. Where did that change happen? Did it happen on the rectangles layer? No, it didn't. Did it happen on layer 1? Yes, it did. My question to you is, what layer is active when you're doing this? If you are modifying something and it moves back to another layer, you need to make sure that the active layer you're in is the layer you want to work in. So let me Control Z that to get rid of that. Let's go into and just click on the name rectangles. You see how it's in bold. Now, if I offset that rectangle inwards, offset, go back to my layers. If I turn off layer 1, nothing happens. If I turn off rectangles, it's on that layer. Okay? If you're trimming, if you're modifying, if you're adding, if you're subtracting, doing anything like that, make sure that you're in the active layer. And the way you tell is just look right up here. Rectangles is in black. That means that I'm working in that layer. If I come over here to layer 1, now I'm working in that layer. if I'm out here in the middle of the drawing tab and let's close this, I look over here and I've got layer 1. If I turn off layer 1, it turns red. That's telling me that I have a layer active that's turned off. So something I do out here may or may not happen on that layer. So, but if it's in black right here, that's the layer you're working in. And I can change layers by hitting this drop down and just click on the name, or I can open up my layers tab if I have too many of them. And I've had I've had 21 layers out here before, 21, 22, something like that. But if I start working in a layer here, it's going to be bold here. It's going to be displayed right there. And if I change layers out here, it's going to be displayed up there. It's going to be bold here. It's going to be bold here. Watch out for red. Red means what you're doing is on a layer you're not that is active but is turned off. So let's see. There was another question out here. Absolutely, Michael. A vector color on each layer is helpful to show a misplacement. That's a perfect example, and thank you for that. That's a good reminder. If I have rectangles, we see right here, I've got a little black rectangle here. I can click on that and I can change the color. Let's make that violet. So now all my rectangles are violet. I can come over here to circles and let's make those kind of an aqua color. All right. Layer 1 is going to be black. It's no big deal. There's nothing on there, really. And the zero plane is turned off. That's something else I forgot to say. The zero plane goes on its own layer. So now there's no mistake. If I select that and I Control C to copy, then Control V to paste. Let me look in here. Did I just copy and paste that onto my rectangles layer or onto my circles layer? Let's find out. Turn off the circles. They both disappear. Good deal. Even though my rectangles layer is the active layer. Let me Control Z that because I don't want copies. So there's that. Now, let me come back over here. We have one. I have time for one more question. Then I've really got to go. Really got to go off to the side here. I'm running late. Rob Schuster, Sidewinder Drums. Sorry, the question is not about the zero plane. I'm setting up a tool setter for Linux CNC, and I want G-code with tool changes, the M6. How can this be done in vCarve? That is done with your post processor, Rob. I know absolutely nothing about Linux CNC. The first thing I would say is look to see if there is a post processor that for an automatic tool changer. If there is, dig into it a little bit and make sure that it will do the M6 commands that you want. Not all. If not, you can get over into the Linux CNC forums, the support forums, because there's a lot of people that use Linux CNC. And there may be a post processor that could be put into that you could add to Vectric that is set up for to add those M6 commands. So, okay, let's see. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being patient. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate you spending part of your Sunday with me. Next week, I'm not certain what I'm going to get into. It probably won't have anything to do with that. but maybe I'll explain what the heck that is. And maybe we'll talk about it. Who knows? I don't have time right now. Sorry to tease like that. Um, so yeah, we'll do another topic next week. If you have a suggestion, if you want to know something, you want to take a deeper dive into something, let me know and put it in the comment section down below. There down below right now, you'll find links to that Vectric video I was telling you about, where they explained this process a heck of a lot better than I just did, and a link to my video showing my old technique for doing a double-sided 3D carve, and to give you kind of a preview of coming attractions of what's coming up when I finally actually get out and machine that puppy. So the only thing remained to be said is, members, check the community tab here on my YouTube channel for a link to tomorrow evening's members only live stream. We've got some good stuff coming up. I am going to talk about that right there. And we're going to try something a little bit different. Um, yeah, we're going to get into talking about gadgets. So that's tomorrow, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, or you just like some information on how to become a member, click the little join button down here by the subscribe button. A panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. So I hope to see all the channel members tomorrow. Please, please, please take a couple of seconds and share the link to that GoFundMe. I know I will appreciate it personally, and my niece will appreciate it more than you will ever know. Thank you very much. I'd like to get it in front of as many eyes as possible. Um, those of you who like it, love it, want more of it, and want to go hang out with me on my buddy John Cousins live stream, I'm heading over there now. All you have to do is hang out as soon as I end here, and you'll be automatically directed over there. I'll see y'all over there. Um, everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Y'all take care.